Social media has now become the most important tool in digital space to drive up sales and improve customer service. So how do taxi firms apply it to their business? What do they focus on? What sort of results could they expect? Simon Curtis, who's the founder of Curtis Gabriel, met up with me to help me find the answers. So I hope you'll enjoy this fascinating podcast with Simon as we explore the world of social media. Welcome to another in the PHTM series of podcasts with people that are changing the world of the private hire and taxi business. I have Simon Curtis.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Social media guru, so I hear.
Yeah, digital marketing. But yeah, social media is our speciality.
Now, if I was to be rude about the private hire and taxi business, they have been called laggards, and they seem to be going through a massive sea change. So what sort of solutions are they going to need or adopting right now?
Great question, and it's quite a difficult one for me to answer without kind of potentially upsetting people, especially my North American clients. Look, they've got to put the customer first. Now they've got to remember their customers are both the drivers and the passengers. So they need to look at their standards of service, their technology, and their marketing.
And what are the advantages for the businesses that are adopting social media in this industry?
So it's a very cost-effective way of increasing driver numbers, as increasing automation through app downloads, and B2B and B2C passenger acquisition, customer service reputation management, and actually accessing of the community, and all that can be done at a micro level at a fraction of the price of traditional marketing.
So Simon, what can it achieve, and have you got any specific success stories that you're very proud of in terms of revolutionising the taxi industry?
Yeah, so actually my second ever taxi client, my first ever client in social media was a taxi firm, and then a few years later we won a contract with Aquacars down in Portsmouth, and it was really interesting. After 6 months of working with them, we increased their automation by 20% just through our download campaigns. So that's one great success story. Brunel in London hired us in the last 6 months, and we've recruited them over 100 new drivers, paying them an amount of money every week. So probably should increase our fees. But they are stories that we can talk about time and time again. I think across the board, a success story that we achieve for our clients is when Uber came in and disrupted this industry. They came in, they were very slick, because all they are is an app, right? We turn one of our clients' social media into something that looks just like that, so it could be done from somebody in Silicon Valley, but what we do that is we integrate into their local community and raise awareness, and also remind people that these companies have, they've been, supporting potentially generations with a source of income, rides to and from school, and don't forget that there's charity work, sponsorship of that, that kids' footy team, all these kind of things that people forget they've done. Let's remind people about that. Let's tell them that they, let's tell the community, because ultimately the technology is really no different, and actually people love the local, and that's what we do, and that's our biggest success story.
Okay, so a lot of taxi companies are owned by people like me. They've got a bit of grey hair, and they're frowned on social media. They don't want to do it. So that's what bad looks like. What does good look like, and what kind of scope of services should a taxi firm adopt in a roadmap to actually make good social media happen?
Sure. Well, I think first things first, those with grey hair should not be scared of social media. When I started my career, social media didn't exist. I grew up in an analog. I grew up in the 80s. I grew up in an analog generation, so there's no difference between me as a 37-year-old and a taxi owner who's a 57-year-old. There's no difference. So don't be scared is my first answer to that question. In terms of what a roadmap should be, obviously consider outsourcing. It's a lot more intense than you would think, running social media 24/7, 365, photography, videography. You know the resource that goes into that. Graphic design, grammar, brand, commercial strategy, ad management, SEO, PPC, the list goes on. But if you're going to do it yourself, here's my advice. Use Facebook because everybody's on it, and run the ads through that and a general level of awareness. Grow your brand through Instagram. That's the number one way, according to marketeers, have much bigger authority than me, but that is the number one way to grow your brand, not in digital or in social media, in marketing. Twitter's great for proactively interacting with the community and customer service, and LinkedIn's great for B2B. Look at all four. Give it to somebody in your organisation that's got an interest in it, but support them. Give them a budget. It's not something where you can just bang out a couple of tweets and you're home and dry. You need to invest time into it.
So there are a lot of mechanisms out there that can look after reputation. What's your advice to taxi firms to come top of the league?
Great question. I think first things first, be on social media. A lot of people think, if I'm not on social media, I won't get complaints. People feel comfortable complaining on social media. Yeah, you get a few idiots, but actually social media has allowed more people to communicate with their brand. So get on social media, respond quickly. We will always respond within 3 hours, 24/7, 365. Respond quickly. Most people understand that you're human. It rains a lot on a Friday or Saturday night and the taxi is late. People will wake up annoyed and mention something. If you express that you are sorry about that and you want to hear more, they will be happy. They will be grateful that you are showing good customer service. So and whether that is a Google review, that is a Yelp review, a TripAdvisor review, just respond and then amplify positive messages. And then there's other strategies. Get your drivers to ask people who when they've delivered a great level of service. Give us a Google review. Give us a Facebook review. And there are strategies to grow, because everybody doesn't give you a 5-star review when you do a good trip, but they'll give you a 1-star review when you do a bad trip.
Yeah.
But you can actually work with your drivers and your staff to get more reviews when your drivers do a good job, which they do more often than you think. So you can work on that, and it's something that is incredibly important to decision making, whether it's a contract or whether it's an individual just looking, who am I going to get an airport trip with? So that's my advice.
And which is the best platform for those reviews? Because you've got things like TripAdvisor, and you've also got Google My Business, but in terms of bumping you up the league table on Google searches, what would be the best place for reviews?
Google is always the best. Is always the best place. SEO is a whole different ball game, and a website's authority isn't necessarily directly linked to the review that you do get. But ultimately, from a decision-making point of view, if somebody's looking to book a taxi and they've never booked one before in an area, are they going to book a 4-star or a 2-star reviewed company? So that is it's pretty straightforward answer to that question, and so that. But in terms of whether it's Facebook, TripAdvisor, Google is the number one review site to focus on, in my opinion, closely followed by Facebook.
Simon, thanks very much. I've got dozens and dozens more questions. I hope this is the first of many interviews we have where we can pick your brains about the way that social media should be applied for the private hire and taxi industry. So thanks for me and all at PHTM.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.